Joining me on the broadcast is Adil Singh Boparai, spokesperson of the Congress Party. Gopal Krishna Agrawal is the spokesperson of the Bharatiya Janata Party. Lieutenant General Syed Ata Hasnain is a former Kashmir co-commander, but someone who served in this area very extensively. He in fact commanded his battalion at the Pangong Show. But before I come to my guests, I quickly, for this India Today exclusive, want to cut across to former Chief of Army Staff, General Ved Malik. General Malik was the army chief when we won the Kargil conflict. He again knows this area extremely well. General Malik, you've seen the situation on ground. You're also hearing politics on the subject. In your appreciation, now that the Chinese are pulling back from Finger 4 to Finger 8, or their tanks and armored personnel carriers have gone back to the Moldo garrison, is this and the overall situation abject surrender by India or by the Narendra Modi government, as the opposition alleges, sir?
No, I don't believe so. I think it is the agreement is on equal terms, and it is in the interest of both countries, India as well as China. Apparently, it is not in the interest of both countries to let the situation escalate and go into a war situation. As you know, for last 9-10 months now, the troops on either side have been sitting in eyeball to eyeball situation. In fact, the armor, the tanks have been within a distance of 75 to 100 meters with each other. So this is a dangerous situation. And the agreement that has now been agreed to between the two parties, it prevents further escalation. So I believe it is in the interest of both countries, and we have been able to prevent the situation from escalation. And I don't believe that we have ceded any territory. As you know, the Chinese are carrying out the vacation of the area, both from Finger 4 as well as from the road leading from Finger 8 to Finger 4.
In fact, General, if I may specifically come to the point of what's happening on the north bank of Pangong Tso and the south bank. So the Chinese army, we are now told, is on the eastern flank of Finger 8. So they've gone back to Sirijap. The Indian army is at Finger 3 at the Dhansing Thapa post. The Congress party says that the entire no man's land is on the Indian side, and the ceding of territory between Finger 3 and 4, that we can't even patrol up to Finger 4 or go up to Finger 8. This is surrender, and as Rahul Gandhi put it, sacred land, Pavitra Bhumi Bharat Maa ki, the Narendra Modi government has surrendered to the Chinese.
No, I don't believe so. Look, what we have agreed is that in order to ensure that there are no scuffles as they used to take place when parties from patrols from both India as well as China, they used to patrol in the area between Finger 4 by the Chinese and Finger 8 by the Indians. So in order to prevent that, that understanding has now been that we will not patrol in that area. No party will patrol in that area. And I think it is only to ensure that the situation does not escalate. This whole situation will be reviewed again after the agreement has been implemented. So for the time being, it has been agreed to ensure that there is no further escalation of the situation.
You're saying it's a temporary measure. The Chinese going back beyond Finger 8 is a temporary measure, but India, it was a hard-fought battle of nerves, if I may, for India to occupy the Kailash range. And that was a brilliant move, whether tactically or strategically at that point of time, because the Chinese just didn't know what happened before they could wake up. The Indian army was on top, virtually tapping the Chinese, saying, look, boy, we're on top on either situation, whether it's on the north bank or the south bank. But the fact that they've only gone back to Finger 8 and we are vacating the Kailash range, is this a big move that India is making for a very small gain? As some analysts argue, is this akin to leaving the Haji Pir Pass after the 65 victory, sir?
Firstly, I wouldn't call it a surrender. While there is no doubt that Kailash range has been important, and it will, because it overlooks Moldo garrison of the Chinese and also the Spangur Gap. But having said that, as you know that we were never on this range earlier. The second thing is that it is in the interest of both countries that we do not sit eyeball to eyeball situation. The third thing I want to say is that although our troops will be vacating Kailash Range, but they are not very far away from there. Having said that, I would also recommend, and I'm sure that our commander there would be doing so, that they will have to maintain very strict surveillance of the whole area to ensure that there is no violation of the agreement which has now been signed, and there are no the troops from this particular area, the Chinese, they vacated as both in letter and spirit.
Okay. So, April 2020 situation being restored at Pangong is one part of the story. Depsang is the other part of the story. So whether we talk about Hot Spring or we talk about Galwan or Depsang, in Depsang it is said that the Chinese are not permitting us to go up to our petrol points, whether it's 10, 11, 12, 13, Alpha, all these PPs we are unable to go to. How do you restore that situation? And should we not have stayed on the Kailash range till that issue was sorted out, sir?
Look, we will not go into this number of square kilometers, but yes, they are preventing our patrols to go to the petrol point where we were going earlier. But then we will tackle the situation in Depsang after this first phase of the Pangong Tso area that has been implemented. As you know, the agreement says that 48 hours after the implementation of phase 1 in the Pangong Tso area, then both parties will discuss the situation in Depsang, Gogra, and Hot Spring, etc. We will have to see what kind of agreement then is agreed to between the two parties.
General, if I may come to you for a military appreciation of the situation. So politics is one part of the story. Military appreciation of the situation. Indian Army soldiers, the speed at which we were able to deploy. Indian Army, Indian Air Force, the nation coming together. The fact that whatever the Chinese were trying to achieve, in your appreciation, have they achieved it? Or India's military diplomacy, the External Affairs Ministry, the National Security Advisor, the Prime Minister's office, everyone coming together. Were we able to convey a message to China that this is not 1962, you can't walk all over us, and we have the advantage and the will. If it needs be, we will open fire. If it needs be, we will do everything to protect our territory. Has that message gone across? Is this a tactical victory, sir?
I wouldn't like to use the word victory at that. Because the situation is still under implementation. The agreement is still under implementation. We have to see how it goes. But you are right that I think the fact that the diplomats, the politicians, and the military commanders, they have all worked together in unison, that has definitely paid dividends. Second thing is that, look, we will continue to create the infrastructure for our border protection as we have been doing that, although they did not want us to do that, but the fact is that we will continue to do that. The second thing is that we have been able to send a very strong message to the Chinese. They know now that we have the capacity, the capability to give them a bloody nose in case they come and interfere and they try and occupy our territory. So while not calling it a victory as such, but I think the right message has gone. India has succeeded in sending this message to the Chinese.
The right message has gone. Brilliant. You're saying the right message has gone, and this India very clearly can stare the dragon down. Is that the impression, or is it too premature to say so till the time that total status quo ante has been restored? General, as always, a pleasure having you on the broadcast. Many thanks for joining me. I now want to bring in Adil Singh Boparai, Gopal Krishna Agrawal, and General Hasnain into this conversation. Adil Singh Boparai, how would you respond to the Bharatiya Janata Party saying that the Congress is now speaking the language of our adversaries?
Well, Gaurav, first and foremost, the so-called disengagement process is a surrender of Indian territory by the political executive of the day. And as far as Bharatiya Janata Party's outlandish comments are concerned, it was Mr. Modi who said that there was no Chinese intrusion. And that statement was translated into Mandarin and splashed across all international newspapers. So if there is anybody who is speaking Beijing's language, it was Mr. Modi early in May 2020. Now let's see how the facts stand. Prior to April 2020, Indian troops had physical access right up till Finger 8. Post this so-called disengagement process, Indian troops are restricted at Finger 3. The no-go zone, or the buffer zone as experts call it, is entirely on the Indian side. So point number one, why have we agreed to a buffer zone on Indian territory? And how does this tantamount to status quo ante when in April 2020, Indian troops could physically patrol up till Finger 8, point number one. Point number two, what General Malik had also alluded.
Gopal Krishna Agrawal respond. Sir, my request to you is if you could take it point by point. I will come to you for every point and I'll get the BJP to respond to this. So point number one, you say the no-go area is all in Indian territory. Gopal Krishna Agrawal, please respond, sir.
Gaurav, the thing is what General Malik just now said. China has got the right message. And this message now is in contrast to what message they got from 1962 till the UPA government was in power. And we also remember on this day, when in the floor of the parliament, A.K. Anthony said that we are not building infrastructure on the border as we are not capable of using it. It is the China which will use it.
Sir, Adil Singh Boparai raised a very specific query.
Yeah,
sir, you've answered in generalities, but a very specific query that was raised by Mr. Adil Singh Boparai was, you cannot go beyond Finger 3 and the entire no-go area is on the Indian side.
And we get physical access no April 2020.
No-go area, Gaurav, the Finger 4 to 6 was the buffer area. Indian troops were going till Finger 4 and Chinese troops were coming till Finger 6. This is what we understand, and this is also, it is the temporary, what the MEA has also said, that nobody will patrol in the no man's area is a temporary measure till the engagement completes and it is verifiable and coordinated that the Chinese troops go back to Finger 8 and Indian troops go back to Finger 3, and later on as the issues normalizes,
may I get a factual assessment?
Can I rejoin the 30 seconds for my rejoin?
Since this is an issue of national security, may I bring in General Atta Hasnain, for a factual position, since it's an issue of national security. General Hasnain, when the Congress party says that the entire no-go area or the no man's land now falls into the Indian territory, it is India that has lost territory and not the Chinese. How would you respond to that? I don't want you to get into the politics of it, but just the factual position of it, sir.
See, Gaurav, one thing is very, very clear. There is nothing permanent about the disengagement that is taking place. This is not even de-escalation. This is the first step called disengagement. We will go through many more steps. Let me go through many more steps. Second thing which I would like to tell all our political leaders, we lay claim to every inch of Aksai Chin. This is all our territory, the entire Aksai Chin. Nothing belongs to China. So let's stop arguing on this issue that he's coming up to my point and I'm going up to his point and things like that. What General Malik, I think he put it in perspective beautifully. He said essentially there has to be a separation zone. This buffer zone, I don't like this term buffer zone. It is to be a separation zone. This is always done between armies when they are coming into terms with each other. This is a temporary measure to ensure that the clashes which were taking place on the banks of the Pangong Tso, those clashes do not take place again. Just because of the fact that you are going to your perception of the LAC and he's coming to his perception of the LAC, those petrol clashes must not take place. There is a lot more which will happen in this entire game. Let's not start pointing fingers at each other.
Fair enough. Adil Singh Boparai, the Chinese claim line is Finger 4. They too are restricted to Finger 8 or east of Finger 8 at Sirijap. So how is it India losing territory? It's both sides not coming between Finger 4 and Finger 8, sir.
Well, Gaurav, before I respond to my second point, let's not lose sight of facts in the middle of rhetoric and flourish. What I earlier said was, and any commander would agree with me, whether on camera or off camera, that prior to April 2020, Indian troops had physical access to Finger 8. This is a matter of fact. Today, our physical access has been restricted to Finger 3. This is again a matter of fact. Coming to my second point, as far as the South Pangong side is concerned, we had a bargaining chip, and I would go to the extent of saying a strong bargaining chip, when we had captured Kailash Heights or the Kailash Range, which is within our claim territory. By retreating from the Kailash Range, we have given the Chinese the handle because that was their basic bone of contention. Our troops had direct line of sight over the Moldo garrison. Point number 2. Point number 3, why has the government of India agreed to a piecemeal so-called disengagement process when it is a fact that the Chinese are almost 18 kilometers into the Depsang area, which overlooks the Daulat Beg Oldie airstrip, which overlooks Hot Bogra, which overlooks Hot Springs. All these areas are very sensitive as far as India's connectivity to Ladakh is concerned. Point number 3. Point number 4, the choice is very clear before us.
Gopal Krishna Agarwal, respond, sir, one by one. Let me get, sir, for the benefit of our viewers, let our viewers also, you've made a charge, let the BJP respond to the charge, and then General Hasnain can put us wise on the factual position on ground or on your assessment and the BJP's assessment. Go on, Gopal Krishna Agarwal. You've heard, Adil Singh Boparai say, how could you agree to vacating your biggest trump card, which was dominating the Chinese on the Moldo garrison, by vacating the Kailash Range till Depsang was sorted out?
Gauravji, I would just like to say the strength of India not comes from just holding on to Kailash Range, but the strength is the response that Indian Army and the government gave to Chinese intrusion. They had violated certain areas. There was a confrontation, and this is the buffer area or middle area where both troops were moving around and patrolling. It is not that Indian troops are only going. It was Chinese troops are also periodically coming from for patrolling. Second point is, our strength is because the build-up of infrastructure at the border, more than 16 roads have been built, and that infrastructure has given the strength. The way we respond. Second is, the strength comes from the way our Army, Air Force, Navy all responded to Chinese this adventurism. Chinese never thought that India will respond. The strength comes from deployment eyeball to eyeball, deployment and confronting. Then on the economic front also, the government took
General Hasnain, if I may,
thought that the commercial angle will come into this play. Yeah. So these 3 points. Our strength comes from...
General Hasnain. Okay, sir, you made the point. Let's not be, let's not get repetitive. Yes, sir.
I will just clarify these issues which both the parties have raised. Firstly, as far as the Kailash Range is concerned, the heights there, some of them on the other side, there are the heights on the other side of the line of actual control, our perception of the LAC, and there are heights on our side of the line of actual control. We have occupied, not captured, we have gone and occupied our heights which are there. What were they done for? They were done for the quid pro quo, QPQ. The government of India gave a specific direction to the Indian Army, look for QPQ. We looked for QPQ and found this was the best option. They went in on the 29th, 30th August night and surprised the Chinese. Now, this is in your hands. This is the bargaining tool. This is the bargaining tool which has been used through the discussions between the theatre commanders, the corps commanders, which has taken place at the Moldo garrison. And if in their wisdom, they have come to the decision that this is a good bargaining tool, by us agreeing to withdraw from it, move back from it, keep some surveillance there, and the Chinese having to pull back from the Finger complex, it's a good deal. I would say trust your commanders. You have trusted them for 9 rounds. Trust your commanders. The commanders and the diplomats have come together. This is a great model which has been established. Trust them. I'm sure that we will ultimately emerge if not the victors, but definitely the side with the advantage.
Adil Singh Boparai, please respond. This is brilliant, as several experts are saying. Not just our army generals were also diplomats. This was military diplomacy at its best. 9 rounds of talks by the core commanders. The fact that a joint secretary of the Ministry of External Affairs was a part of this dialogue, and they could then tell the Chinese what you're saying is not true or what they're saying is true, and get the Chinese to go back. Sir, isn't this a major achievement that the might of the Indian, not just the government, the Indian state, the Indian people, it all came together and the Chinese have gone back? Isn't that an achievement? Step 1 achieved. Step 2 remains Galwan, Gogra, then Depsang, and then other areas. So shouldn't we rejoice that we've made some headway and move forward for the rest?
Well, Gaurav, 90 seconds in the interest of a balanced debate. Point number 1, we trust our military commanders. Let me make this very clear to General Hasnain. We trust them and we're proud of them. Point number 2, we do not trust the political executive of the day. And the reason is that the political executive of the day, and more particularly the Prime Minister of this country, lied to the country in May 2020 when he said that there was no Chinese intrusion. So if there was no Chinese intrusion, as per the Prime Minister in May 2020, then what is this so-called withdrawal or disengagement which is taking place? Point number 2. Point number 3, ordinarily, leaders and statesmen learn from their follies. But unfortunately for the Bharatiya Janata Party, their propaganda takes precedence over national interest. Mr. Modi should have learned from the Doklam episode. Mr. Modi was too early to call Doklam to be a victory. And what is this reality of Doklam today? The Chinese have surface-to-air missile sites in Doklam. We ceded Doklam, and Doklam garrison of the Chinese is a potential threat to us in the future, especially our northeast region. Point number 3. Point number 4, what happened in Galwan? When the clash took place at Galwan at PP14, we agreed to a buffer zone within our territory. We retracted and withdrew by 1.5 kilometers within the Galwan area. And why the Congress party emphasizes that an all-round comprehensive disengagement was necessary, because we had a bargaining chip in the form of the overlooking vantage point at Moldo. Once we have forsaken or withdrawn from the overlooking sites at Kailash Range, the Chinese have no incentive to withdraw from Depsang. They have no incentive to withdraw from Hot Springs. So therefore, let's keep in mind facts. Let's separate facts from fiction. The government says this is restoration of status quo ante, but how is this restoration of status quo ante when Indian troops cannot physically go up to Finger 8?
Gopal Krishna Agarwal, respond.
In April and May 2020.
Gaurav, the thing is that we are fighting Chinese with all the strength, whether it is infrastructure, deployment, eyeball to eyeball, economy, everything, that we are fighting Chinese. The only weak point that we have is our opposition and Congress leaders. They are continuously demeaning that we respect our army, but will not believe them. When the army, everybody, Ministry of External Affairs, all are saying they are not ready to believe. One thing is very clear, that LAC is line of actual control. It is not an international border. International border, if anybody has to answer to the nation, it is the Congress and it's UPA. What they did for 50, 60 years, that Chinese occupied such a large spaces, and even Pakistan during that time gave away our POK land to China. What they were doing, just sitting in their air-conditioned room and making handshake with the under the Rajiv Gandhi Foundation with Chinese ambassadors, what they were doing. So they don't want to answer anything, and now they are saying that we believe our army men, but we believe in their strength, but will not accept what they are saying. So LAC is a line of actual control. It's
let me get. Okay, Adil Singh Boparai wants to quickly respond to the allegations you've made before I bring in General Hasnain for a factual position on Doklam and the other points you've raised. But go on.
I think Mr. Agarwal is unable to understand very plain and simple English. The Indians had physical access in April 2020 up till Finger 8.
I am not.
Today our access is restricted to Finger 3. How is this
I'm not studying
restoration of status
Italy
quo and
like you.
It is plain, simple English. If we cannot understand, I indeed pity him.
If
Number
I
one.
cannot
Number
understand
two,
simple
one will
English,
learn
I am
to
not
listen.
studied like
Okay.
Harvard like your
Okay,
leaders.
you know, it's a very critical issue of national security. It's a it's a live situation on ground, and we have our soldiers deployed at minus 40, minus 45 degrees, protecting our national interest at this point of time. But so let's stay on facts. Let's stay on facts. Let's stay on
Gaurav,
facts and hard facts.
10 seconds.
General Hasnain, did we have access?
No, Gaurav, 10 seconds. 10 seconds.
Go on, sir. 10 seconds.
There are 3 more issues that the MEA and the military has said we have to still resolve them. Every issue has not yet been resolved. There are issues with point number 15, 17, and DEPSOM.
Fair enough. No. But factual position. Factual position. On India first, our aim is India first. Our aim is India first, and that is why facts. We all have faith in General Hasnain. We have faith in our military leadership. General Hasnain, before April 2020, did Indian troops have full access to Finger 8, or was it a contested access to Finger 8 and the Chinese had contested access to Finger 4? Facts on ground, sir.
Patrolling access.
Gaurav, there's no doubt that prior to April 2020, prior to the clashes which took place on the 5th of April, before that, there was unhindered access. Of course, there was showing of flags and things like that in many areas. In many areas where the perception of the LAC was different, ours was something different and theirs was something different, stepping across each other's claim lines. There was a system which was always followed, which was leaving behind your markers there to establish your claim line. Our side, in case the Chinese were walking into our claimed areas, we used to put up banners. They used to put up banners similarly. This was the line. This was the level of contestation as such. We did not have any clashes of this kind except in 2017. We had a major clash at the time, and Doklam was also burning at that particular time. But let me comment on the larger issue of this difference of opinion between political parties. You see, I wish we could live in an environment at this time where there was consensus, which is very difficult. I know political consensus, of course, everyone has to have their political maneuverings and things like that. But I think we are discussing this at a very early stage of this entire process which is going on. I wish we wait for 2 months, perhaps 3 months, mark this particular date when we had this discussion, and come back after 2 to 3 months and let's see what is the factual position at that time. You'll find it is a lot of things would have changed. A lot of things would be in our favor at that particular time. And as to Doklam, the last question, the answer on Doklam, I can tell you all that infrastructure which has come up on the other side. Most of the infrastructure is only residential infrastructure. Yes, some helipads, etc. have come up. They are not. It is not war-fighting infrastructure. It is not a place from where they can actually get into bunkers and start fighting a war against us. It is all mostly psychological, nothing more than that.
Gaurav, one more point I want to make.
It's psychological. Adil Singh Boparai. Also the fact. No, General Hasnain, since it's the national morale that's at stake here, so we must have facts. Do we not dominate the situation in that entire area? Are we not on heights? Do we not have access to commanding heights? Not just here, but also in the valleys of Arunachal Pradesh, where we have two of our massive formations that are deployed. Is India not on a strong wicket? And I'm not just saying during this government. I'm saying our army, our men on ground, are we not on a strong wicket so that our national morale is based on facts on ground, and the fact that we were able to ensure that the Chinese get the message that you cannot walk all over us. You cannot, General Hasnain.
Gaurav, absolutely. 1962 is something completely forgotten in memory. 1967 happened under the Congress watch. 1967, we bloodied the Chinese 400
exactly.
Almost at a loss of about 85. We assumed the wrong shoe under the Congress watch. In 1986-87, 6 months, we managed to stare them down completely, right? Later on, now we've had, under the BJP watch, we've had this situation where we have once again stared them down completely. They have been the ones that forced to capitulate, not the Indian side at all. I would say from 1962 till now, this is the third time that actually the Chinese are the ones who are going back, not the Indians.
Yeah.
Adil Singh Boparai, that's the point. When you speak to commanders on ground, like I have been over the past 10 months, and I've made several trips to Ladakh, all the way up to Daulat Beg Oldi. At the height of the standoff, India Today, I drove to Daulat Beg Oldi. So, while there is a situation at Depsang, it's also a fact that there are areas where we are dominating. It's a fact. We are a very strong army, sir.
Well, absolutely, Gaurav. We're a very strong army, and I have great personal respect for you, Hasnain. His time as GOC in Srinagar has been very fantastic in terms of bridging the gap and other issues. But coming to the issue at hand, it is a matter of fact, and even I have spoken to military commanders who've served in Ladakh. It is a matter of fact that the Chinese are almost 18 kilometers inside Indian territory in Depsang. I am again emphasizing that the so-called deal is not restoration of status quo. If anybody tells us that the so-called deal is a restoration of status quo ante, then he is being economical with facts, and I will go to the extent of saying dishonest with facts. Number three, the Chinese cannot be trusted. Ask General Hasnain, he would concur with me on this. We cannot trust the Chinese. The Chinese will be up to their shenanigans, not just in Ladakh, but the entire LAC region. In Sikkim, there was a skirmish a few weeks back. In Arunachal Pradesh, the BJP MP is on record to say that the Chinese have walked into Indian side in the Indian cattle grazing area. So therefore, we must not lose sight of the fact that Indian territorial integrity cannot be sacrificed for the strong image of our people.
Okay.
It is not
the Chinese
respond Gopal Krishna Agrawal.
Okay. Surrender in by virtually acquiescing and virtually agreeing to withdraw from
it's your turn has finished. Gaurav, the issue is very clear. Chinese will always be... Gaurav ji, Chinese will be what they are. We are never saying that we will believe what China is saying. We will see to our eyes what they are doing. Therefore, this disengagement is coordinated and verifiable. It is not that just what China has said on the paper, Indian government will accept. It is verifiable. Everything will be done, and later on in a step-by-step manner, this will be done. I am not saying that the China will never do anything again. China will be doing, it was doing like this, it may do, but
General Hasnain, if I may, last word to you, sir.
Let me finish. The thing is, our infrastructure at the border is what we require. We have got 11 Rafales. We will get 17 more Rafales, and we will get Tejas. This is where we are preparing our army, infrastructure, border to counter Chinese, and our economic response is also an important criteria. Globally now, economic diplomacy is very important.
Fair enough.
Our response on the economic front is also important from China.
But you also have an adversary that you cannot afford to trust. General Hasnain, last word to you, sir. China may have gone back from finger 4 to finger 8 because China realized its efforts to browbeat India failed there. And it did not enjoy any strategic advantage being at finger 4. But we enjoyed a strategic advantage being on the Kailash range. Point 1. Point 2. Now that Pangong Tso has been sorted out, what is the incentive that China has? What incentive do they have to sort out, let's say, Depsang or Galwan? Incidentally, Russian agency TASS reported that the Chinese lost 45 soldiers killed. 45 Chinese soldiers were killed. And this is a Russian agency TASS report with a Beijing dateline that we reported first here on India Today. But General Hasnain, what is China's incentive now to move forward on Depsang and other friction points now that Pangong Tso has been sorted out and India has vacated the Kailash Hill in a couple of days from now?
That's the burning question, Gaurav. There's no doubt, and the most important question at the moment, which a lot of people are asking. And I think General Malik covered it rather well. I also responded in this way to say that the quid pro quo which we did at Kailash Range led us to the forced, not eviction, but you can say the vacation of the finger complex by the Chinese, and now we had nothing else in our hands to actually force it. That notwithstanding, the negotiations are to recommence within 48 hours after the completion of the disengagement process. In that, Depsang, Gojra and Hot Spring, all three are to be discussed. It's not that Depsang itself has been left alone. There's also Hot Spring and there's also Gojra to be discussed. So I'm not sure whether there is a necessity of having something in your hand immediately to do it. As it is at Kailash Range, we were sitting on our own side. It's not that we had territory in our hand as such. We had domination. Yes, we had domination, but in our wisdom, we have considered strategic wisdom. We have considered it wise enough to ensure that we have a exchange of finger complex with the Kailash Range. Now, I'm sure when we sit down to talk again, the 10th, 11th and 12th rounds, probably something new will develop and we shall discuss that subsequently.
Fair enough, and we will be on Ground Zero covering that story. General Hasnain, as always, a pleasure to have you on the show, sir. Adil Singh Boparai and Gopal Krishna Agarwal, many thanks for joining me on India First, this special broadcast from Ladakh. A quick break here.
Hello everyone, this is Rahul Kamal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.